The Ford EcoSport Facelift is today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars. This car here, with this generation, actually it builds up on the Ford Fiesta, so it's the same platform, and it has already been on the market since 2012, but mostly for the emerging markets, so also greetings to all fans down in Brazil. Then in 2014 it has also been introduced to the European market. But then they saw, oh, well, maybe something is not really fitting because of the material quality and some other options and specs. This now has been updated, so we'll take a look into that, what actually has changed and if it's very suitable for the European market and maybe for other markets now as well, if the quality has been stepped up. And we cover all of the different aspects in exterior, interior and the driving experience. And today, as you see, we are in a rather affordable region for a car. So we always deliver you a great mix here at Autogefühl from all the range from super sports cars to very affordable cars. So let's go. The front, very strong. You know, the small SUV car segment is the most surging car segment overall at the moment, especially in Europe, for example, because, you know, you got higher seating position, you got strong exterior, but still, the cars are very compact still. You can easily drive them around the city. So here, it resembles a little bit all of the other Fords right now with this huge fish maul front in this grille, and, you know, for a small car, a very strong attitude showing here in the front, also with the slimmer headlights now, and this also a little bit resembles the Cougar, but maybe this one is even more updated in design than the Cougar. And I think just from the design perspective, still kind of modern car. In the side profile you can see this car actually does fit on the construction side as well, as it sits a little bit higher. You got a little bit more ground clearance than with a normal small car. Still a compact size, 4.23 meters only in length, so it's really short, so very suitable for the city. And 16-inch alloys here, we got the titanium equipment, and that means actually that you can have the 16-inch alloys from serial, or also you can just pick them manual, of course, if you have a lower trim level. Overall, the car is actually really quite cheap. It starts at about 18,000 euros. The biggest change here in the facelift now happened actually in the rear, just from the exterior, because so far you had to pick this extra replacement wheel at the rear part. But maybe it's kind of important, maybe you guys from Brazil, especially South America, tell us how important this replacement wheel is for you. For the European market, it's rather not that relevant, so they kind of leave that out. So you can actually just de-pick that kind of. And then it's also easier just to step behind the car and also open the trunk, because it is actually heavier than to open the trunk. You can close it, by the way, here with this button, the whole car, and then if you press it below here, it opens like that. It does so before when the replacement wheel is sit on there, but it's extra weight and also maybe not that practical if you don't really need it. But what is good, you have an easy access in here, and for such a small car, still a lot of space. That is one of the advantages of this very car. It is really practical. You see, kind of squarey, and you can also flip the seats. I can show you right now that you get an image of that. I have to do it from the passenger compartment, however, but then it's actually possible to here flip it right here, 1/3, 2/3 split. I can do it right here now. Yeah, I know you like when I work out here. So, and that's it. And you know, you do have a step here in the level, but that's actually not a real problem, because, I mean, if you would put it that way, you would just, you know, have wasted some space. So there are actually possible to put longer things in here as well. So you have the flexibility, although it is still a very small car. Let me get it again. Seatbelt. Now we get it. So they have tried to save some cost. For example, just when you use this lever here to open the hood in the front, really feels kind of cheap and loose. There's also some space here to put some things in, but you see, this is really not the highest build quality. This car is more about being economic also in the financial sector. Talking about economy, let's look beneath the hood. And here we got the 1 liter of displacement only, the Ecoboost, the Ford turbo engine. You see there's no engine cover, so finally we can also take a look at the engine, how it really looks like. 125 horsepower, and actually it is enough for this car. I think it's the best suitable engine for this car. With the turbo, it is actually perfectly enough to get some speed in the city, and not really a very good engine for motorway driving, but due to the turbo, that's actually fine. You can also get naturally aspirated engine, 1.5 liter then, more of displacement, a little bit less horsepower, 112 horsepower. That's a rather old engine, but however, the advantage there, you can also get it with the DSG, or Ford Speed Shift it is called at Ford, the dual clutch transmission. This one here just combined with a manual gearbox then. And this very engine will soon also be available in the Ford EcoSport S, then with 140 horsepower. And there's also a diesel available that has been updated now 1.5 liters of displacement, and the diesel now has 95 horsepower. I think it was 90 before, so not real much changed. But I mean, for such a small car, a diesel maybe also not the most clever choice. So I would really recommend you to go for the Ecoboost engine. They don't consume so little fuel. I mean, yeah, if you especially use it for city driving, I can say, well, 8 liters is realistic, so the consumption could be down. I do criticize it, but the engine feels kind of evolved, has a good power output, and actually also quite nice sound for such a low displacement engine. And just a small sidekick to show you another color. This is how the car looks in black. To me, it's more elegant, definitely, but the blue, of course, is a little bit more, let's say, outgoing, extroverted, and but I think in this case I would probably not go with this very bright blue color, because maybe with a darker blue color, that would be my pick then. Here in the black version, of course, the roof rails are really contrasting. That is one interesting aspect about this color combination. And this is how the car looked always before, with the replacement tire at the rear. You can still get it, but now have to pay a little extra price to get it actually. So the standard one would be without now. This one is then an option for now. Well, I think it is kind of a unique feature of the car. So well, if I would go for the EcoSport, I would maybe still pick it just to have something unique. Or what's your opinion on that one? And before we move into the interior review, just another exterior color here in this very bright yellow. I would never go for this color actually, but maybe some fans of the football club Dortmund. Actually, I was born in that city. By the way, what's also important is that we here got other alloys. These ones are 17-inch and shiny black. So from standard equipment with the EcoSport, you get now 16-inch steel. With the titanium, 16-inch aluminum, and then 17-inch is optional here. What do you think about that color, guys? end we actually picked this car because the other one we've driven does not have the updated infotainment system yet. You know, when we drive the vehicles, they are sometimes also pre-production, but that one here has already at least a part of the updated infotainment system, another radio system. We'll soon see it in detail. But let's first look at the interior. It's the titanium trim level, as I said. That means we don't have the standard cloth seats, but leather on the outside. That is actually also real leather, what is kind of nonsense. They're also a little bit different from the form you see it right here. And soon I will also show you inside the basic, the trend level seats. It's also very interesting, this comparison. Focus steering wheel from the Ford Focus, and kind of basic setup that the Ford Fiesta also has, this very platform car. So if you own a Ford Fiesta, you will also feel at home here. By the way, not with every car in this segment, we got a armrest here in the middle. That's also an interesting part. I know you always like to see some different trim levels. This one here would be the low trim level seat, the trend level seat. You see there is no leather part on the outside, and you know it's not really necessary to have that one. This also fits quite well, also visually quite attractive with the contrast stitches here. And the seat is actually built in a way, it's actually at this height inside the car also. The form of the seat is also a little bit different. This one offers a little bit more freely moving around. The titanium seat actually has a little bit more side support. So this is the basic difference, but just from the seating comfort, they don't differ so much actually, so you can also easily go with that one here. The most important part of the Ford EcoSport is the high seating position. You sit way above the normal level for a small car, and that adds even more comfort, especially also for tall people. And I definitely do feel better than in a usual small car because you have this upright seating, and that's really, I mean, you know, I tend to have also back problems just when riding, you know, too sporty, too low cars, depending on the seat, of course, always, but that one really helps in general here. What they have done with the facelift actually is that they have updated the interior quality material, and for example, we got some chrome elements like on the inside of the doors, or also these shiny elements, the covers here at the middle console. This has been updated. However, it is still kind of the old school look of the Fiesta, so it's not really something astonishingly new. It has kind of just been put on the same level than the Fiesta has been offered here, and that was really necessary here in that case. This one will also be the new radio system here, but we don't have the GPS in here so far. We just have the colored screen here. It looks like this, still quite small. It's a Ford Sync 1 system, and the controls here, it's all very complicated. You split the controls here, and then you can move around left and right with this one here. Control the volume right here, go back to the menu, but oh well, a little bit complicated to me. And we cannot see the GPS here, but let's just hop to a prototype car where we see what is actually then offered with this facelift starting from January. Now we jump to the new version. It's a prototype here, but starting from 2016. The optional GPS will look like this then with the facelift, so we don't have it included in the other vehicle. And you see it's a bigger screen, and we also got the colored screen, and the GPS is actually included in here. That's, for example, for the sound. And if we check the GPS, for example, pick a route. Let's see how long the calculation takes, and let's see how can I zoom in and out. Zoom is, for example, in here on the left button. Zoom auto, but I can also, no, that's the way. Left and zoom in. You see it's not the fastest reaction time, and comparing to other GPS systems, it is still kind of outdated, but at least, well, the customers demanded a GPS that is included here in the car, and you still have to pay it optionally, even if you have the titanium equipment, but at least it is available now, and of course it looks a little bit better, and it would be, you know, separately attached there. But in general, can I really recommend this GPS here? Well, I don't think so. Maybe use your smartphone with a holder, or just use a separate €150 GPS here or in the left part. So maybe just leave that out as for the serial equipment. So don't be irritated, we got the separate GPS there in the upper left. That won't be the case then in the future. But back to our car here now. This is this classic instrument panel, and well, we know it also from the Fiesta, nothing really special. And the same counts for the climate unit below there. It's also, let's say, it could be a little bit spiced up quality-wise, but in general, you have at least a quite good overview how to control everything. And near the classic handbrake is a USB slot and a 12-volt power supply, as well as aux in. Storage spaces, let's start at the inside of the doors. Quite huge actually, and it goes kind of in there. It's a little bit hidden, so something, if you search for something that is hidden in the car, it might be at the inside of the door. Then the glove box, a little bit disappointing that it cheaply just falls down. I always prefer it if it's just, you know, a little bit softened up when it goes down then. But it has a lot of space, and that's the good side of it. Then you get something, maybe a mobile phone could be put here, and also here an additional holders, actually 2-3 holders for beverages. That's actually a quite handy solution. So this small car here again offers a lot of space also as for the storage spaces on the inside. And last but not least, there's also on the upper side something for your glasses, even if it's kind of cheaply covered in the inside, but always good to have this option as well. And something more right here at the co-driver seat. The emergency kit, medical kit is hidden here, also a good solution. Let's now get into the rear compartment. That is actually usually a surprise with those small SUVs, because for small cars they offer again a lot of space here inside, and that's the case even if I would be driving as a rather tall driver, 1.86 m. For subscribers know that I still have enough knee space here, and that wouldn't be the case in the Ford Fiesta. And also from hip space, I still got some space above my head. Okay, there's no panoramic roof here in here, but there again you could see why people buy this car. Maximum usage on minimum outer space, kind of. And also not too uncomfortable to sit here. Well, you lay down a little bit, but it's actually possible. The same function that is also flipping the seat can also be used just to put the seat a little bit more upright. And that's another good function to make it more comfortable for people here in the rear. So this is a rather upright position and also in the rear. So the titanium equipment is 2,000 euros extra in price. Would you actually go for it? Well, I wouldn't, because you have the real leather seats here, and the Trend cloth seats do extra fine. What I would recommend is rather the winter package. This one is kind of picked by, especially in Germany, I think about 4/5 of all customers. And the winter package then, I think about 800 euros. For example, also got the heated front screen. We also have that in here, and that is actually more important equipment. And GPS, I've told you so far, you can also leave that one out when it comes with a new integrated one. Just use your own manual GPS, and then you can still keep, you know, with some little options, still keep the price of the car also relatively low still. Let us start our test ride. We've left the construction site, and actually, well, it's possible to go some soft off-road with that one. Actually, no problem because of the higher ground clearance and with, for example, with the Fiesta. And then mostly it's of course about the city driving and testing the Ecoboost engine, 1 liter of displacement. But as I've told you so far, this turbo does actually have some effect. And yeah, I think it's actually quite nice evolved sound as well. It's of course a turbo sound, but I mean, for an engine with 1 liter of displacement, I've usually realized with the Ford EcoSport engines that they have a quite reasonable sound for such a small engines. And the suspension has been tweaked a little bit now with this facelift also for the European purposes. It was a little bit harsher before. The comfort has definitely improved with this new suspension, and well, I'm pretty much fine with that one. It's surely not the best suspension ever we tested, but we definitely feel a step forward than to the previous non-facelifted model. Also, the steering has been adapted, and the steering wheel has been taken from the Ford Focus actually. That's quite good. And also when you test the steering here, that also works quite well. The input is actually quite direct, and that also helps for a rather sporty handling inside the city. The overview is very good because you sit upright here. Even although it's a small car, you feel comfortable also when you're quite tall, on all 4 seats by the way. So that is definitely an advantage of the car, and you keep the overview to all sides at all times, and it always gives you a feeling of security when driving inside the city. You know, also maybe some annoying traffic situations, but if you can keep calm, then that is always a good thing, definitely. So according to the driving, from suspension and also the steering, it is good that they have adapted it now, and I think all markets finally profit from that when they a little bit rework the car. Also, the sound insulation has been improved, and you know, there's a lot of traffic around us here at the moment, and I can just say it's actually quite silent in here. So I think I really feel that they have improved that one as well. I almost hear other cars at all at the moment. Now the turning circle, yeah, it's also something very good of the car. The turning circle is so narrow, you can feel like almost turning around on a standstill. That is another advantage of the car. However, the long-term comfort, although you have the very upright seating position, you cannot really speak of a very, very high long-term comfort, because you know, for tall people, the seats are still a little bit short. So in general, I would rather say it's not the best suitable car for tall. But I mean, if you compare it to the normal Fiesta, for example, a normal small car segment, this one is definitely, let's say, the better compromise. If you're searching like for one car, maybe you're inside the family, someone is tall, someone is rather short, then this one here, the small SUV segment, could actually be a good compromise for this kind of situation, definitely. So I think it's very good that they updated it for the European purposes and about these driving factors. And in general, well, it does usually drive quite similar to a Fiesta, just sitting higher, because you see the same instruments, you feel the same shifting lever. Then shifting is, by the way, kind of, well, without resistance. So the manual gearboxes here at Ford are usually also very good. When I just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and well, the rear gear, maybe sometimes you have to push it a little bit hard to get it in. But all of the other gears actually also quite easy to shift, and also the clutch does not need any, you know, getting used to the clutch, because it would be something special. So it's also pretty standard. So the overall impression you get from driving this car is everything is kind of kept easy, kept simple. You sit down, start the car, and just start driving. You don't have to get used to anything, actually. And I think people who search this car actually appreciate exactly that, because they don't want to learn, you know, hours and hours about how this car is actually working. And then it might also be an advantage that you don't have the most new stuff in here, because people actually know and what they can expect. However, we still have the problem that the car was introduced later on to Germany, for example, and therefore kind of lagged a little bit behind, and so it's definitely not the newest anymore now. So we're coming now to a standstill on the traffic light, and then we can check the noise insulation again when we have the standstill. Also the start-stop function should be active, or don't be. Well, not right now at the moment, I'm not sure why. But yeah, it's actually quite silent when standing still, and I think it also feels a little bit more silent than in the usual Fiesta. Really have that impression. And well, just funny that we have to focus, not a Fiesta steering wheel. That is really a funny aspect. With a good overview to the front as well. The only thing that is disturbing me a little bit while driving is that the middle console is kind of huge and bulky, comes kind of towards me. That's maybe a little bit intimidating, if you can say so. But everything else, well, maybe this view to the right and left front with the separate window, I think that's kind of a little bit wasted, because you cannot really see this small separate window from here. So I'm not sure what this effect is. But the A-pillar is actually not that way blocking the side to the front, because you have this angle here, which actually allows kind of good visibility to the left front part, and the same as at the right side, so it's actually quite okay. And when you look from to behind, you know the car is ending there, especially when the rear replacement tire is not placed on there. You really know there it's the end of the car. the side with the steep windows, also a very good overview to all of the sides. About the other engines, as far as I remember, as we had the car before, we had the naturally aspirated petrol engine, and that really lacked some power. Of course, I'm usually in favor of naturally aspirated engines, but of course, it doesn't make sense if you don't have any power at all. So if you want to catch a yellow traffic light, for example, then it does make sense if you have the small turbo engine here. And this 1-liter Ecoboost, actually a quite evolved turbo engines, didn't hear of any problems with it so far. Maybe if you own this 1-liter Ecoboost engine, then just report us about your experiences on this engine, and maybe we can also share our thoughts with that one then. Yeah, that's about the driving part here. My conclusion about the Ford EcoSport Facelift, actually before we had the car, already before the facelift, and well, we were really disappointed with the car before because it was really from poor quality, especially on the inside. Now, at least they have updated it a little. It is actually, well, still kind of outdated a little bit because we still use the old Fiesta platform, and take a 4 or 5 year old Ford Fiesta, it still looks basically same on the inside. However, the car does actually suit for the European needs now, as the interior quality has been lifted a little bit. And also about the engine choices, a little bit of a diesel update, and that you can also depick the rear tire, then the replacement tire there. So I think so far the car didn't work that well on the European market. This actually could improve now, because the changes that could have been done with this car, with keeping this car, have actually been done. The next, with a new generation maybe, surely need to update the multimedia system, that's for sure. What is good, you get a quite a small car, but a lot of space on the inside and an upright seating position, which is comfortable also for city driving. So you get actually a lot of car for the money, even if you don't have the best interior quality. And driving, of course, very easy to handle the car, that's on the positive side. So that was my conclusion, and I want to hear your comments about this car, what you think about in general of the car, design, interior, also from the driving, and what you think about these changes that have been done with the facelift now. Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed it here with kind of the Autogefühl budget version today, and I hope to see you at the next Autogefühl episode with Thomas. Thanks guys for watching, and bye.